Your phone lights up at 11:47 at night. It is a message from Ethan. I had a really good time tonight. You read it once. Then you read it again. Your finger hovers over the keyboard. You type that you had a good time too. Then you delete it. You type that you really like spending time with him. Then you delete that too. Suddenly, one simple message feels impossible to answer. Because you do not just like spending time with Ethan. You like Ethan. And you have no idea whether he feels the same way. This is where romantic English becomes complicated. The words are often simple. The difficult part is choosing how direct you want to be. So in this episode, we are going to follow one story from friendship to something more. Along the way, you will hear practical phrases for showing interest, testing the situation, expressing feelings, and avoiding unnecessary awkwardness. You do not need to memorize everything. Just notice how the meaning becomes stronger or softer depending on the words you choose. Let us go back 3 months. You first met Ethan at a friend's game night. He was funny without trying too hard. He remembered your name after hearing it once. And when you mentioned that you loved old bookstores, he asked you which one was your favorite. That conversation lasted almost an hour. Nothing dramatic happened. But on the way home, you caught yourself smiling. A week later, your group met again. Ethan sat beside you. He asked whether you had gone back to that bookstore you mentioned. You were surprised that he remembered. That was the first moment you wondered if he might be paying special attention to you. But there was another possibility. Maybe he was simply friendly. That is the difficult thing about early attraction. A lot of friendly behavior can also look romantic, so you decided not to assume anything. Over the next few weeks, the two of you started talking more. Sometimes it was in the group chat, sometimes he sent you a message directly. One evening, he sent you a photo of a tiny bookstore he had passed downtown. He said it made him think of you. You stared at that message longer than you wanted to admit. Then you replied that you needed to check it out sometime. He answered almost immediately, "We should go together." That sentence sounded casual, but it did not feel casual to you. You wondered whether he meant it as friends, or whether he was trying to ask you out without making it sound too serious. 2 days later, he brought it up again. "Do you want to check out that bookstore this weekend?" This time the invitation was clear. You said yes. Saturday afternoon came. You met outside the bookstore. Ethan smiled when he saw you. "I have been looking forward to this." That sentence stayed with you. "I have been looking forward to seeing you" is warmer than simply saying it is nice to see you. It tells someone that you were anticipating the time together. It does not automatically mean romance, but in the right context, it can definitely feel more personal. You walked through the bookstore together. You showed each other strange book covers and laughed at terrible titles. At one point, Ethan found a travel book about Iceland. You mentioned that you had always wanted to see the Northern Lights. He said that he wanted to go too. Then he smiled and said that maybe you both needed to stop talking about it and actually go someday. You laughed. But part of you wondered if there was more behind the joke. After the bookstore, neither of you seemed ready to leave. Ethan suggested coffee. You agreed. At the cafe, the conversation became more personal. He asked what you were like as a kid. You asked why he moved to the city. He told you about a job he hated before finding the one he had now. You told him about the year you almost moved back home. At some point, you realized you had been talking for nearly 3 hours. Ethan looked at you and smiled. "I feel really comfortable around you." That is another phrase worth noticing. "I feel comfortable around you" expresses emotional ease and trust. It can be romantic, but it does not have to be. What makes it meaningful is the situation, the tone, and everything else happening between two people. You told him that you felt the same way. Neither of you said anything more, but the silence did not feel awkward. It felt different. Later that night, you called your friend Maya. You told her everything. She listened for about 30 seconds before interrupting. "He likes you." You told her she could not possibly know that. She asked one question. "Did he ask whether you were seeing anyone?" You stopped. Actually, he had. Earlier at the cafe, Ethan had casually asked whether you were seeing anyone right now. At the time, you answered that you were not. Then you asked how about you. He said that he was not seeing anyone either. That short exchange mattered. "Are you seeing anyone" is a common way to ask whether someone is currently dating another person. It does not always mean the speaker is interested romantically, but when it appears inside an already personal conversation, it may be a way of checking whether you are available. Maya laughed when you told her. She said that you were both being painfully careful. You asked what you were supposed to say. She told you not to jump straight to a huge confession. You can show interest without turning the moment into a dramatic speech. That advice stayed with you. A few days later, Ethan texted again. Want to grab dinner Friday? You looked at the message and smiled. Then another message appeared. Just the two of us. Now the situation felt different. Adding just the two of us can make an invitation feel more personal. Depending on the relationship, it may suggest that this is more than a casual group hangout. You decided to be slightly brave. Are you asking me on a date? You almost deleted the message, but before you could, he replied, I was kind of hoping you would see it that way. You stared at the screen. Then you smiled so hard your face hurt. Friday night came. You met at a small restaurant downtown. At first, both of you were slightly more nervous than usual. That was almost funny. You had already spent hours talking together before, but once the word date entered the picture, everything suddenly felt more important. Halfway through dinner, Ethan asked if you were nervous. You admitted that you were a little. Then he said that he was too. That made both of you relax. After dinner, you walked outside together. The street was quiet, the air was cool, and for a few minutes, neither of you said much. This was the moment you had been avoiding for weeks. You could keep everything vague. Or you could say something honest. You started with the softer version. I really like spending time with you. Ethan looked at you and smiled. This phrase is warm and personal without being an intense confession. It focuses on the experience of being together rather than immediately labeling the relationship. You continued. I have been looking forward to seeing you more than I probably should admit. He laughed softly. Then you took one more step. I think I am starting to like you as more than a friend. Now the meaning was clear. Like you as more than a friend removes most of the ambiguity. It tells the other person that your feelings are romantic. You added one more sentence. I did not want to make things awkward. That phrase is useful when you care about the existing relationship and worry that honesty might change it. Then came the hardest sentence. I do not know if you feel the same way. You stopped talking. For 1 second, Ethan said nothing. That second felt exactly like the 11:47 message from the beginning of the story. Too long, too quiet. Then Ethan smiled. I was hoping you would say that. You let out a breath. You did not realize you were holding. He told you that he had been trying to figure out whether you felt the same way. He said he liked you too. But he had been nervous about ruining what you already had. Suddenly, all those small moments made sense. The bookstore photo, the questions, the coffee, the question about whether you were seeing anyone, the dinner invitation for just the two of you. None of them proved anything by themselves. But together, they had been slowly building toward this conversation. Now let us look at the language behind the story. I really like spending time with you as a gentle way to show affection. I have been looking forward to seeing you show's anticipation and interest. I feel really comfortable around you expresses closeness and trust. Are you seeing anyone checks whether someone is currently dating? Do you want to grab dinner sometime? Is a low-pressure invitation? Just the two of us can make that invitation feel more date-like. Are you asking me on a date is direct, but still playful in the right moment. I was kind of hoping you would see it that way, expresses interest without sounding overly serious. I think I am starting to like you is more direct than talking about enjoying someone's company. I like you as more than a friend makes the romantic meaning very clear. I did not want to make things awkward acknowledges the risk of changing the relationship. I do not know if you feel the same way, gives the other person space to respond honestly. I was hoping you would say that is a warm way to show that the feeling is mutual. I feel the same way is another simple way to return someone's feelings. There are also stronger expressions you may hear. I am into is casual and clearly suggests attraction. I have feelings for you sounds more serious and emotionally direct. I am falling for you usually suggests that romantic feelings are becoming stronger, and I love you is much stronger than simply saying I like you. These phrases are not interchangeable. The right choice depends on how close you are, how serious the relationship is, and how much pressure you want to put on the moment. That is why romantic English is not only about vocabulary, it is also about timing, tone, and context. You do not need the most dramatic sentence. Often, the most natural sentence is the one that matches where the relationship actually is. If you are just beginning to show interest, saying that you enjoy spending time together may be enough. If you want to know whether the other person is available, you may ask whether they are seeing anyone. If you want to make an invitation clearer, You can suggest doing something just the two of you. And if you are ready to be honest, saying that you like someone as more than a friend leaves very little confusion. The goal is not to sound like a movie character. The goal is to say something real in language that feels natural to you. Back at home, your phone lights up again at 11:47. It is another message from Ethan. I had a really good time tonight. This time you did not delete your reply. You tell him that you did too. Then you add one more line. I am already looking forward to seeing you again. And this time, sending it does not feel scary. If the story helped these phrases feel more real, come back and listen again. The more you hear them inside a situation, the easier it becomes to understand what they really mean. If you would like more real-life English about dating, relationships, and the things people really say, stick around and subscribe. See you in the next episode.